All right, it's been quite a while since I reviewed a pair of Mizuno cleats, mainly for the reason that they still sell the Neo 3s, not the beta versions, but the older style, just Neo 3 classic ones. And these are still fantastic cleats, and these are still the ones I wear. So they haven't really come out with anything new that I would be interested in the Neo line in a while. I thought these gave a perfect combination of synthetic materials where they could use it, and then really, really nice leather where it counts in the toe box, where you could get a little stretch and better fit. These serve me well. I think this is my second or third pair. I still feel that the Neo 2s were a little better, but these have been fine. In case anybody asks, the insoles in these wear out pretty quick, and there's nothing left of them basically after 6 months. These are Curex insoles. These are specifically made by some German company for soccer cleats. So I couldn't find the Mizuno replacements and got these, and they were fantastic. So far, these are 9 months in, and they still feel like they're new. So they last a lot longer than stock Mizunos. They also have some nice non-slip material on them, but excellent replacement for the Mizuno ones if you need some insoles for these Curex. So that said, I just received these. So these are Mizuno made in Japan Alpha artificial ground cleats. I'm not a big fan of pure synthetic upper cleats. However, I really wanted a pair of Mizuno artificial ground cleats that were made in Japan. They have some that are made in India or something, the elite versions. And, I decided I'd rather just wait for a Japan version. They came out with these. They're not leather. They're all synthetic. However, they have what I was really looking for, which is a real artificial ground sole plate. So the difference in the sole plate between these, obviously, and these is more and shorter studs. It also doesn't have the spine or the old chewing gum that's on the bottom of these. But it doesn't have that spine down the middle. It's a more traditional, say, Neo 2s type sole plate, but a lot more studs. We play a lot of games on artificial turf that was redone a couple years ago, and I've just had issues with my heel hurting and some other ankle issues since then. It was one of the old artificial turf fields that was filled with rubber pellets, so it had a lot of cushion in it, and the new one is basically like playing on artificial turf over concrete. It is really hard. So I'm hoping these will ease the stress on my feet a little bit. When you get old, you'll appreciate it. So same four in the back with one in the middle, but these studs are a little shorter, and they're made out of a slightly different material than what's on the firm ground cleats. So I'm hoping we get better cushion. I have not even tried these on yet, but I wanted to just do a quick comparison to the 3s. So weight-wise, well, first measurement-wise, I did measure these almost completely identical. They look a little thinner in the toe box area, and they felt a little tighter on my foot compared to these in a different pair I tried on. I haven't tried these on yet, but they do look a little thinner. But granted, these are almost a year old, and so they've stretched just a little bit in the toe box, right? You're getting a little stretch from the leather. And if you look on the underside, you'll see how on this side here, right there, it's kind of pushed out a little bit from my foot. So if you pull that back in, the measurements on these are almost identical. Width of the sole plate, length of the sole plate. I measured circumference around the toe box, basically identical. So I'm fairly confident that while these will probably be a little tight at the beginning, Hopefully they'll stretch out just a little bit. I'm not expecting a lot of stretch from the synthetic material versus the leather, but at least a little bit. We'll find out. So the main differences in these, obviously, this is all that synthetic that they've used in the Alpha series, and it's got that kind of foam spine inside of it. I don't know, you can kind of see it's got, yeah, you can see it there. And that, I believe, was the intention, was to keep it from stretching. I'm not exactly sure what they think that does, but it does something. They've had that in a couple lines over the past 5 years. We'll see if it actually does anything. But the main difference, other than the whole thing's synthetic, and obviously the sole plate, is the material on the interior. So we have a very similar insole. At least it looks similar at first to the Neo 3s. However, this is kind of rubberized, and it is really grippy. I think significantly more grippy than the Neo 3s. So that'll be interesting to try out. I mean, this is really, really grippy. So a lot of grip on the insole. Other than that, it feels just like the other one. It's, you know, they're really pretty thin in the heel area. So we'll see how these work. I've got another pair of Curex ones I can put in here if I don't like these. But these are always good for like at least a couple months before you start feeling like your heel's just smashing down on the inside of the cleat with no support from the insole. The other part is this material in here. So a big difference between these and the Neo 3s. The Neo 3s were a little grippy here, but it was a, you know, a kind of a cloth material. It's got good cushioning around the heel area, and it's held up pretty well, but it's lost a lot of the grippiness that it used to have, this material right here. It's still not completely smooth. It's just a little textured, and it works pretty well. This stuff is rubberized, very similar to the insole, and this is extremely grippy. When I bought a pair of Neo 3 betas, which are all synthetic and also have, they have the same material as these, but for some reason, I got real bad blisters in those and couldn't wear them. I liked the sock kind of fit with them, but the blisters were just terrible. And they didn't look like they should be that bad, but I think it had to do with the material they used around the heel. This is a real flexible material, and it, you know, feels like there's almost like a little bit of cardboard in there to give it support, but real flexible. In the betas, it was like some Kevlar material or something like that, and it was real stiff. So I think that was my problem with those. These, I don't know. These feel fairly stiff in the heel, really stiff, in fact. I can't even press just to there. Like if I get down here, I can't press that in at all. It's extremely stiff. Where here, you can see how much these give. So these really kind of conform to your heel. I'm not sure what to expect out of these. This is really solid, so that's making me a little nervous. But this material in here is so grippy that I feel like maybe it will keep my heel locked in. I mean, it's got a textured finish, but it's also rubberized. So we shall see what that does. I'm going to give them a shot. Today's Sunday. I'm going to give them a shot Tuesday. So first thing I'm going to do after I slide this insole back in is throw these things on the scale. So zero that thing out. All right. So we know the Neo 3s, these are coming in around 7.9 ounces. They've probably absorbed a little bit of moisture using them. I think originally they were a little less than that, It could be the Curex insoles or slightly heavier, but I don't think so. They're pretty thin also. But pretty light cleats, under 8 ounces. So these are coming in at 7 or 7.1 ounces. I'm not sure what they're listed, if they even have the weight listed on soccer.com. Really light cleat. Of course, they're designed for speed, so they should be light. But that's one more time just to make sure. Yeah, 7 or 7.1. Really light cleat. So that's it so far. I have not worn them yet. I'm going to wear them in a couple days and follow up. Let's see how they feel. Overall, really what I'm excited about is the sole plate. I'm a little nervous about the heel, and we'll see how tight the toe box is. Height-wise, I had some issues with the height of toe boxes on my first pair of Neo 3s and had to send them back to Mizuno after a horrible return process from them. But these look at least as good as these in the toe box. So I don't think I'm going to have an issue there. In fact, maybe even just a tiny bit more room in that toe box area. But at least as much. But I'm more worried about the width, and I'm a little worried about these heels. Luckily, soccer.com has 30 days to wear them and return them. Can't beat that. All right, well, I'll follow up with a review after I've worn them a little bit. We'll see what they feel like.